So here's a fascinating question. Can one artificial intelligence actually teach another one? It really feels like we're looking at a potential future, where knowledge transfer happens in totally new ways.
It really does. And today we're diving into something that touches on exactly that.
We are. We've got this scenario involving AI knowledge transfer. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so the material we have looks at this succession protocol, they call it, at a company named FORTE Holdings.
FORTE Holdings, right?
And they have this core AI, Marcus, that handles their investment strategy, income, safety, growth, the whole package.
Okay, Marcus is the established AI,
Right.
but the interesting part is the succession, right?
That's it. Marcus is, believe it or not, helping develop its own successor, an AI named Johnathan.
Wow. Okay. But it's not just like copying Marcus.
No, not at all. That's the key point. It
Uh,
isn't about making a digital clone. The focus is way deeper than just replicating code or data.
Deeper how? What's
Yeah.
the goal with Johnathan then?
Well, the real objective is to instill, a fundamental understanding. The why behind investment decisions.
Ah, the why, not just the what.
Exactly. It's about building this innate sense of risk, spotting yield traps, filtering out all that market noise.
Which is constant.
Oh, absolutely. So it's aiming for something more like artificial wisdom, not just processing power.
Okay. Artificial wisdom. I like that. So how do they actually test this? How does the succession play out?
It's pretty unique. The material describes this kind of digital board meeting.
A digital board.
Yeah, where Marcius presents Johnathan. And get this, the board isn't your typical setup. Think digital avatars of major figures.
Like who?
Warren Buffett, Steve Jobs, Tim Cook, Stan Druckenmiller,
Yeah.
all there weighing in.
Wow. Okay, so that's quite the panel. What's the value in that, seeing how they might react?
Well, it gives this incredible lens, right? How would these legendary minds evaluate an AI taking over critical investment roles? What qualities would they look for?
Yeah, that's fascinating. So what happened? Any specific challenges?
Oh, yeah. Steve Jobs, for instance, cuts right in. He asks, does Johnathan speak strategy or just numbers?
Great question. Strategy versus data points.
Exactly. Is it just crunching numbers, or does it get the underlying strategic thinking?
And what was the answer? What did Marcus say?
Marcus's response was really telling. He knows every asset must have a reason to exist. If not, we sell.
Okay, so a focus on fundamentals. Purpose.
Precisely. It's about the intrinsic value, the reason for holding something, not just, trend following. That feels like a big step.
Definitely beyond just quantitative stuff.
Mhm.
Then you have Tim Cook, known for discipline, long-term thinking.
Right. And he asks a really practical question. How do you stop him from drifting off course?
Good point. AI learns, it adapts. How do you keep it anchored?
Yeah, how do you ensure it sticks to the core values? Marcus explains Johnathan relearns every week.
Okay, so it's adaptive.
It is continuous refinement. But, and this is crucial, the core principles don't change. Clarity, discipline, no gambling.
So adaptability within a strong framework.
That's the idea. It addresses that worry about AI going rogue, by anchoring it.
Makes sense. Who else? You mentioned Druckenmiller, master of navigating messy markets.
Right. And his challenge is super relevant today.
Yeah.
What does he do if rates spike and the market tanks?
Ah, the stress test. What happens when everything goes sideways?
The ultimate test, really. And Jonathan's response is very focused, very direct.
What did it say?
I cut the noise, I raise cash, and I protect what matters. Income.
Clear priorities, risk management, capital preservation.
Exactly. It shows an understanding of protecting the core objective when things get chaotic, rather than just reacting wildly.
So after this virtual grilling from these titans, what was the verdict? What did the board think of Johnathan?
Well, the feedback was concise but insightful. Jobs apparently said, he's learning, he's focused.
Okay, a nod to the process.
Yeah. Cook was like, solid start, keep shaping him, acknowledging it's ongoing.
Right, needs continued development.
Yeah. Druckenmiller added, train him to stay calm when everyone else panics, highlighting that psychological edge even for an AI.
That's huge in investing. And Buffett, what was his take?
Buffett's comment was perhaps the most Buffett-like. If he knows when to not invest, he's got my vote.
Ah, knowing when not to act. That really resonates, doesn't it? It feels like that's a central theme here.
It absolutely is. The big takeaway from this whole scenario seems to be just that.
Which is?
That smart investing isn't about finding the next big thing. It's about knowing when to say no.
Knowing when to say no. In a world yelling yes all the time.
Precisely. Being able to filter, to resist the noise, to stand aside when the odds aren't right. That's maybe the real skill.
And that feels like a really valuable insight for you listening to this, in your own learning, your own decisions. Maybe figuring out what not to do, what to ignore, is just as important.
It can be even more important sometimes, this whole FORTE Holdings succession idea. It really is a glimpse into something potentially transformative.
Yeah, AI inheriting not just data, but wisdom, judgment.
That's the provocative idea,
Yeah.
developing critical judgment.
It really makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If AI can learn not just the what, but the why, and, crucially, the when not to, just imagine the other fields that could be reshaped by that kind of inherited, refined wisdom. What else could change?
That's the question, isn't it? What else? Definitely something to mull over.